A fantastic break last December and November when Grumpy Cat sort of hit big time. And so we got on the phone and called the cat, and there was a lot of cursing. And there was a lot of dead air, and after the call got disconnected, we knew that we had a great book. Grumpy is really about, this book is about spreading the grumpy point of view in very simple, fun ways. Tartar sauce, Grumpy Cat's real name, is just a delight to work with in so many ways, because you always know the answer to every question. It's always good to meet it. Let's see here. You know, it's time, I think, for a poetry break. Francesco, perhaps you can share this poem with us.
Okay, this is from I Could Chew on This and Other Poems by Dogs. And it's called I Lose My Mind When You Leave the House. The plants are torn, the garbage strewn, the wires chewed, the couch and I had a fight. Your bed is soaked, your liquor spilled, your TV smashed, your laptop no longer has any valves. There's a smartphone in the toaster. There's a toaster in the toilet. There's a toilet in the hallway. There's underwear in my mouth. I went places I should never go. I saw a side of myself I should never see. I said things to the cat I could never take back. So please, don't ever leave again.
So, Francesco, this your current book is I Could Chew on This, which is a follow-up to another New York Times bestseller, which is I Could Chew on This. Poems by what? Is that also poems by dogs?
By cats.
Oh, cats. Where does this idea come from, exactly?
The whole series, when I grew up with a lot of animals. We had dogs, we had cats, we had a bird, we had a turtle who I don't think knew that he was our pet. My parents fed at one time up to 12 feral cats, which is I'm sure a number the neighbors never discussed. And when I was an adult, I had two cats, Boris and Natasha, because I liked a particular cartoon. And when they passed away, I was very sad, because they were like a majority of my adult life, and I tried to figure out a way how to commemorate them. And I started writing these little poems, because I guess that's what you do, but I didn't show them. And then Charlie Sheen had a mental breakdown. And I happened to hear that radio cast when it came on, a radio broadcast, and I took the quotes from some of them and I attached them to pictures of cats. And I posted them online, and in 3 days I got 1.5 million hits on my site, which is a number I would never see on my site. And I thought, apparently everyone is right, the internet is 98% cat. I guess the other 2% is filler, salt, water, whatever, soy product. And so I posted the poems online, and people seemed to like them, and I posted a few more, and then I posted a few more, and no one was telling me, dear God, please stop. And that led to I Could Pee on This and Other Poems by Cats, and then which I commemorated to my cats, Boris and Natasha. And then I wanted to commemorate a book to my dog Panda. And so out of guilt, I wrote the second book. And so I could chew on this.
So do you hear the voices of cats and dogs in your head?
I'm sure I like to hear I hear voices in my head. But I do. I mean, what it is that I remember my pets. So I remember what they would do, and I think of situations they would be in, and it really is their reactions as I remember how they did it.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Super. It's a super book, much like this super book. Super graphic, which is by author Tim. That was a great transition. Yeah. I practiced that at home. Tim Leon, who is not here with us today, but he's been at the con a lot, so you might have met him. He used to work for Wired, now is a digital design director. I don't know what the title is actually, but he works for Forbes magazine now. And I'm going to hand it over to Neil to talk about some of the interiors and the ideas in this book.
Yeah, when we first saw the submission for the idea of this book, it's one of those like few times, maybe once a year, once every other year, you see something you just have never seen before. Like, I know what infographics are, I've read Wired magazine, I love comics, but no one had ever quite put together those things in this way with such a great sense of humor, but an actual deep understanding and knowledge of comics and an ability to research all the data and pull it all together in that completest way that this audience needs, you can't make a book of factual infographics without that dedication to the real information. And it's hilarious. So, for example, a very simple spread from the book, but absolutely factually true. You can't read the words? Oh no, it's too small. So the first chart breaks down the words in the Batman theme song. I think it's nah in blue, and then gray is Batman. Let's take a look at the next one. So here we have a flow chart of decision making that the Punisher will run through in any given scenario. It's all factually true. And the next one. Oh, you can't read this at all. But we have this as a giveaway poster for free at our Chronicle booth, so please come by and get yourself a copy of this. This breaks down superhero names as a taxonomy of the animal kingdom. And every name that you can see as a faint blip on this chart is, Catwoman or Batman or an animal-themed superhero name, divided into genus and phylum and species. It's insanely complete.
This is something you want to see a very large version of, which we have for you. So it's fine. We couldn't hand it out today, but you can catch up with get one free. Great. Moving into our last few titles, the really exciting stuff that actually isn't out yet, I believe. But on its way for sure. First up, I'm going to read from the card because I haven't read this book yet. The Clockwork Scarab is a book about Bram Stoker's sister and Sherlock Holmes' niece serving steampunk realness while solving supernatural mysteries. Looked at myself. If you like young women solving crimes and kicking ass in Victorian London, this is for you. And the author, Colleen Gleason, is known for her great supernatural romances. And this is part of our expanding young adult program. And we do have the drop cards, correct, at our booth where you can download a simple chapter if you'd like to know more about this particular book. The one thing I do know about this book from the person who worked on it is that this is actually a real scarab that we had built. So all those folks who make stuff on Etsy and sell it, that's where this came from. We actually commissioned somebody to create one because that doesn't actually exist in the world. We found a guy who works with bugs and real beetles and things like that, and we commissioned this very interesting piece which is locked up somewhere in somebody's desk at work. But that's part of the creative secret of Chronicle books. From girls kicking butt to girls running from maniacs with chainsaws, our upcoming title, Chainsaw Confidential. I'm going to let Steve tell you about it.
Hi, yeah, so this is a little different than what Chronicle usually does. Usually our books are very highly visually driven, and this is a non-fiction narrative memoir by the guy who played Leatherface in the original Texas Chainsaw movie from 1974. If you haven't seen it, it's completely terrifying and fantastic, and it's considered by Total Film one of the best horror film ever made. The whole thing's up on YouTube, just for free. I want to mention that. So Gunnar Hansen, the author, played the main character. He is 6'4" poet, graduate student with little acting experience when he took the role, and it was a highly independent production, shot in Austin. Incredibly dangerous. They're using live chainsaws, which turns out to be dangerous. So he's running through the woods with this chainsaw, and he trips, and the chainsaw flies up into the air. And he's wearing a mask and Cuban heel boots, and it's muddy, and everybody was fine, but there were many moments of it's sort of an adventure tale about making a movie kind of in the same way the Bruce Campbell book, The Chins Could Kill, I think is what it was called, about sort of how scrappy and crazy it is to make a movie like this. What interested us in doing this is that it's really engaged in popular culture. The movie is really a landmark film. And Gunnar is a poet, so this friction between crazy, grunting, chainsaw-wielding maniac and poet grad student was something we wanted to hear more about. His prose is actually, he's written 4 or 5 books, mostly on natural history. He goes to conventions all the time, so he's still engaged with this stuff. And Jonathan Yardley at the Washington Post called his prose style graceful and unpretentious, which is also kind of fun to think about in comparison with Leatherface. So John Landis and Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead, and Stuart Gordon, who directed Reanimator, have all worked the book and enjoyed it. And Gunnar interviews the cast and crew, and it was really interesting book. And we hope we did justice to the fans of the film. There's a drop card at our booth. You can download the prologue in the first chapter. It's coming out this fall, of course, in time for Halloween.
Well planned.
Yes. Yes, okay, so Chronicle Books has an open submission policy. Not all publishers do. It's really important. Over the years, I've been at Chronicle 15 years, and I've acquired 6 or 7 books from authors who just didn't have an agent, just submitted, they had an idea that was interesting. And it's actually really important that we do that. If you have a book idea, my email address is steve, S-T-E-V-E, _Mockus, M-O-C-K-U-S, chroniclebooks.com. You can also submit through the website, but think of us if you have a great book idea. You can come by our booth and see what we're up to. Anyway, along these lines, we ran a contest with Tumblr. Tumblr is a place where people are making really creative, interesting things, but there's so much of it, it's hard to find it all. So we ran a contest saying, if you've got an idea that you think is a fun book, let us know about it, and we'll review it. And there'll be winners, and the winners are guaranteed some editorial feedback, and maybe we'll make a book. And there were a lot of great Tumblrs, several. At least I'm working with at least 2 authors now on books. The one that won the contest was this guy named Paul, who had a Tumblr called Shit Rough Drafts. And what that is his imagining authors or screenwriters, like the first draft that they wrote for something that was terrible, and if they hadn't wised up, that's what it would be. So, for instance, what if Star Wars, Darth Vader is Luke's father, but Chewbacca is also Luke's cousin? What's the movie like that? And so he writes out sort of a screenplay page playing out that idea, and it looks like a screenplay page. And what if F. Scott Fitzgerald called it The Coolest Gatsby? What's that look like? And so he'll write a little bit of it out, and covers movies and classics and contemporary literature. And I think we have an example from Harry Potter. I'm not going to be able to read. Maybe Michael can read this.
Francesco, can you see that?
I think so, yeah. This is from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, God.
Do you want to read that out? Now that everyone heard it, like you read it, I'm going to read it. You're not black? Harry exclaimed. No, it's just my last name, Sirius replied. Harry began to cry. He had, what is that?
Bill.
Oh, everyone else agreed. He had still never met a black person. That's hilarious. That's great.
That is a shit rough draft.
Spring. So they're all pretty hilarious. So definitely one for that. Guys, we're McMillian for everything. Better on my laptop, obviously. But this is a point where we can open up for questions. You guys want to talk to Michael, Jeff, Brandon, Francesco, Neil, or Steve? Let's hear those questions. ready.
For Steve, can you talk about one of the stories that you received that was just kind of handed in?
Oh, sure. So we have at the table, there's an artist who supports himself by going to art fairs. And he has certain characters that he does prints and paintings of, and he really likes zombies. So he submitted a self-published book, because it's pretty easy to do these days. It's expensive, but you can make a book, through Globe or whatever, called Zombies Hate Stuff. And it was a very simple, single panel, single illustrated humorous moment where it's zombies hate kittens, zombies hate hippies, zombies hate mannequins because there's nothing to eat. So it was really funny. I'm not remembering the funniest ones, but the idea in clowns, he hates clowns. Also, of course, he hates clowns. And so it was an idea that didn't need a lot of shaping, honestly. We did a different cover and sort of tuned it so that it would work for kids and for adults. Like turned the roar down a little bit, just a little bit. It was cartoony anyway. So now, when you look on Amazon, the reviews are like, my son found this and we read it together, and so we managed to get it to work. We've sold about 50,000 copies so far. We're doing a sequel, Zombies Have Issues, next fall. And he also loves to draw penguins, so penguins also hate stuff. It's cool. So I contacted him and said, wow, this is great. I gave him a vision for how we publish it, like the price and the size and the number of pages, and we need to see that and then we work on it.
Hey, Brooke, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say, I work at comic books, but we have a children's book called Good Night Construction Site, which was just mailed into us. And one of our interns was going through it and said, this looks like a pretty cool book. And it's been like the #1 New York Times bestseller.
For more than a year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like huge. So
It happens.
That happens sometimes.
Great, Ian. I saw your hand up there.
This is for Francesco.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Francesco, long name.
You ever think about writing books about other kind of animals?
I've actually written, they haven't seen anything yet, which is not my way of playing pitch.
Blow the lid off this thing.
No, I mean, there is the cat book, there's the dog book, I have something involving birds, hopefully. I'm just going to run it right into the ground. It's going to be like 14 books later, poems by poles and hedgehogs for British gardeners, Yeah, you know what a death stalker is? The little scorpion? 40 poems, but it's just all menacing. But thank you.
You guys used to do a lot of books with DC Comics. A lot of their I noticed there was nothing. Are you still doing stuff with them, or?
That's a good
We
question.
haven't had anything recently, and we talked to them.
We did those note cards a little while ago, 2 years ago. The box of note cards, the DC Comics.
All right, the last time we did some postcards with vintage comics, and we did a collection of all the Mad foldings, which is DC technically.
Sure.
And
That was amazing. Did you look at that?
I did look at that.
That is a great book.
The Mad foldings. Yeah, it's a 3-book collection, or maybe 4-book collection.
Great.
Obviously, I remember it really well.
Beautiful hardcover slipcase, gorgeous presentation.
Yeah, big, beautiful books, and then inside you have, on one side of the page you have the unfolded folded,
Right.
and then on the other side you have folded folded, so you don't have to fold it yourself. The ultimate service.
That won an Eisner, I think, last year, did it not?
It was only nominated.
Oh, nominated.
Thanks
Wow.
for bringing that up.
Being nominated is still awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're always open to do things. We just haven't really had anything come across lately. But we talked to them at this show, and there's some things potentially coming. I can't say any more about that. Thank you. Yeah.
I noticed you guys do all the art of Disney books, and with the purchase of, and the Star Wars books you do are just in a specific kind of category. Yeah, books are outside of most of what you do, like crafts and craft kind of things. But now with Disney, I mean, lots of stuff. Is there going to be a change in your relationship to the possible future as far as
It'll be transparent. So we have another Star Wars Jeffrey Brown book coming, which is fantastic. We signed that up before the changeover, but really it's kind of like behind the curtain stuff. Like the working for like Lucasfilm, the creative team is really great, as Jeff has mentioned, and so we're still working with that creative team. It's just more like here's the requirements for working with Disney, and then here are the requirements for working with Lucasfilm, and they're sort of like in clause 16, the term needs to be 12 months versus 18 months, and stuff like that.
No shit.
Do they want more money? Yes. Stuff like that. But you won't see a difference from our publisher.
No, and that my point is that when you started doing with Disney, I wasn't thinking that you would use necessarily Star Wars. My thought was there needs to be Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah.
And so would we maybe see the part of the Star Wars books from you instead of maybe where they have?
So what's interesting, I sat in on Jeff was in a Star Wars authors panel, and I forget who moderated it, but he started by saying, usually this panel has us introducing all our books, like for the forthcoming several years. Now that there are movies happening, the next 3 movies, and then other movies slotted in, and I think there's animated stuff coming, they're still sorting out what they're doing. So nobody really knows yet who's going to do what books and what those books are, and we're certainly not the only publisher for Lucasfilm. It's like, I'm sure aware of it, like DK has Star Wars books and stuff like that. Right. So we don't know.
We're curious too.
Anybody else with a further question? Back to you.
Jeff, do you think that Slave Leia is going to be around?
Wait, and then?
Do you think we're going to keep seeing Slave Leia at conventions?
I feel like I've only seen one Slave Leia at this Comic-Con. So I think there's some kind of shift happening. And Slave Leia may be something that we're losing, and I don't know who we need to talk to at Comic-Con to make sure that our Slave Leias are protected. But hopefully not.
Endangered species.
It's never something before.
Great. Is that anybody else?
This question's from Michael. Have you thought about making a book about new Steve Newlin?
I'd love to. There's a little bit of Steve Newlin's perspective in this book as well. But for those of you who are fans and miss human Steve Newlin, you'll get a lot of that in this book. But who knows what happens? We still don't know what the next few seasons of the show will look like and what's going to happen next. So, yeah, it'd be great. I love that.
But do you know what's going to happen?
I know a little bit.
The next 5 episodes.
Yeah.